When carrying out the various stages of preparation and painting on yachts, it's vital you consider the risks and take the necessary precautions. This presentation will highlight the risks involved when working in the boatyard or other painting facilities and will cover the following points: personal protective equipment, hazards, first aid and hygiene, the spraying process, handling anti-foulings, handling epoxy fairing compounds. There are a few general rules to be aware of when working in the boatyard. You should familiarise yourself with these before commencing work, and it's vital to always comply with safety rules, requirements, and boatyard regulations. You should always check the material safety data sheet for information about the specific hazards of the materials you're using. When using anti-foulings, you should check in the country of application for the specific legal requirements. It's important to wear the appropriate personal protective equipment to minimise the risk from equipment and materials during yacht maintenance. Whether you're mixing, applying, or sanding materials, you should take the following precautionary steps. You should wear a long sleeve, long legged cotton overall. This should preferably be a minimum of 60% cotton, and these should be white for work in hotter climates. A second disposable overall with a hood should be worn over the cotton overalls. Chemical-resistant long-sleeve gloves or gauntlets which overlap the overalls should be worn, as these can protect against exposure from solvents. Nitrile gloves offer the best resistance to the solvents used in spray paints. They also help to minimize physical damage from cuts and bruises. All footwear should have steel toe caps, and rig boots which cover the ankles and lower legs are recommended. All members of the application team should wear eye protection, such as a full face mask or safety goggles. Eye protection is mandatory in all spray painting applications. The lens or face material should be resistant to the solvent being used. Potmen mixing paints should also ensure to protect themselves against splashes. Anyone likely to come into contact with spray mists or vapours should wear respiratory protection. Respirators have cartridges filled with absorbent materials to prevent exposure to volatile, irritating and harmful toxins. However, it should be remembered that cartridge respirators do not protect against an oxygen-deficient atmosphere. Cartridges should be changed in accordance with manufacturers' recommendations, all local legal requirements as appropriate. The spray hand and any assistants should wear respiratory protection against solvents which also protect the entire face. A full face mask with tear-off vision strips is recommended. The rest of the application team should wear half-face respirators with solvent and particulate filters. A half respirator may be worn to avoid the inhalation of unpleasant and potentially harmful vapours from some amine curing agents. Air-fed hoods with a regular supply of clean, fresh air give the ultimate respiratory protection to paint sprayers and should be used when spraying polyurethanes such as Awlgrip or Awlcraft 2000 top coats. Their use is strongly recommended when working in confined spaces. Appropriate dust masks should be worn when necessary. There are different types available, and this will depend on the particle size of the dust involved. Ear defenders are recommended for use in noisy environments and should be appropriate to the frequencies of sounds encountered. Barrier cream can be used to protect the skin. However, this should always be used alongside and never instead of protective equipment such as gloves or a visor. You should always ensure there is no exposed skin between sleeves and gloves, so the use of overalls with poppers, Velcro or elasticated cuffs is recommended. Adhesive tape may also be used to add protection to elasticated overalls. You should ensure that there is no exposed skin between the trouser legs and boots, and this is why calf-length rig boots and not shoes should be worn. During the application process, your overalls must be fully fastened at all times to avoid skin contact with paint. The hood must be worn over the head and pulled tightly around the face. Inner cotton overalls may be tucked inside boots and gloves for further protection, and disposable outer overalls should be worn over the top of boots and gloves. Disposable overalls should be replaced every time they're removed and changed at least daily, whereas cotton overalls should be changed and washed every shift. If there's any paint breakthrough to the inside of cotton overalls, they should be replaced with a new pair. Gloves should be replaced if there's any sign of solvent breakthrough or as soon as they become dirty inside. Wearing lightweight cotton inner gloves may be considered. Fabric sweatbands in hard hats should be washed daily. The hats should be cleaned with detergent and water to remove any dirt and dry spray contamination. Full face masks and half masks should be cleaned with detergent and water inside and out and stored in a dedicated container at the end of each shift. Any paint application facility, training should be given with regards to the use and importance of personal protective equipment. In particular, respiratory protective equipment should be tested for fit, and the team should be taught how to test for leaks.